Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Peter Llewellyn. I run the services at MedComms Networking.com. So information services, resources, and so on for people who work in and around medical communications, medical education, medical publishing, the associated businesses, and so on across the world. One of the things I do is provide quite a lot of information for people who are interested in joining our business. Maybe you want to join as an account manager or a medical writer. Or an editor or whatever. Lots of insights, lots of support at a website at firstmedcommsjob.com. So go and have a look at that. I do lots of these webinars, recordings of people, interviews and so on. There's lots of video content at NetworkPharma TV as well. That's a good place to have a look. Probably 500 or so videos there at the moment. And growing all the time. So I'm having a bit of fun at the moment. I'm talking to people across the community, understanding a little bit more about their roles and their personal journeys. Today, I'm joined by a couple of the people from Chameleon. I'm going to start with Hrir. Start by telling us who you are and what you do at Chameleon, and we're going to go on a little bit of a chat about your personal journeys.
Hi, I'm Hrir. I'm a senior group account director here at Chameleon, and I head up a group of our client services team. And I also work with my lovely colleague Fay as well, who's in my team.
Yeah, hi,
Okay.
I'm Fay. I'm a medical writer and I'm in the scientific services side in Hrir's team, like she said, the overall account.
Excellent. Okay, Hrir, I'm going to ask you to say a little bit about Chameleon and just paint the picture so we understand the sort of company that you're involved with.
So Chameleon is a global medical communication agency. We're part of the biggest advertising network in the world, Omnicom. And within that, we're part of the health consultancy group. Our agency, Chameleon, is made up of around roughly 200 people between London, Manchester, New York, and LA. But we are part of a much, much bigger network that is Omnicom and HCG.
Excellent. And Hrir, you're based in London, aren't you? Just to get that one. Yeah.
I am. I'm based in London in our Bankside office, which is right next to the Tate. Lovely location, highly recommended.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. Okay, Hrir, let me stick with you for a moment. So tell me a little bit about your journey. You're on the client services account management side of things. Just talk a little bit about how you started and your progress through the ranks, as it were.
Sure. So I did a degree in biomedical engineering, specializing in medical imaging. And as part of my degree, I did a 6-month secondment at UCLH in the medical physics department. And quickly realized being inside healthcare was not for me. But I still loved the healthcare industry. So I was looking for roles and I applied for a role in a medical publishing house because it was a bit more of a traditional route to something that I'd seen before. I was familiar with journals, papers. I was there for about a year and a bit, and I realized I wanted something a bit more creative, something to express myself a bit more. So I fell into MedComms, really. I didn't really know what it was before. I just applied, and I was like, oh, this sounds like fun from the job description. And luckily I got the job, and here I am 10 years later, actually. In January, 10 years it'll be since I've started MedComms. And I initially started in a bit of a hybrid role, and I continued to be in a bit of a hybrid role. But my true love is account management, client services. As lovely as writing is, I don't think I have the discipline for it.
Okay. So by hybrid, you mean a bit of a mix of the writing and the account management side?
Yeah, I still do sometimes some writing, but like I say, I don't have the kind of discipline that Fay has.
Okay. And it's interesting. I was laughing. It's remarkable how many people I talk to who say something like, I fell into MedComms or stumbled in or something. I mean, as much as we try and do to promote the business to everybody, it's remarkable. It's still a question of to some extent, of people sort of stumbling across us. So great that you're in. And as you say, you pursued down the account management, account direction type route, client services, really, let's call it that. But Fay, there you are. You've been set up there. You're the writer type. Tell us a little bit about your journey. And sorry, let's just thinking context here. Fay, you've been in about a year and a half or something. Am I right? So relatively new. You've come into the writing side. So come on then. Tell us about your route in.
Yeah, I've been at Chameleon a little bit over a year. Right before
Right.
that, right before I started, I finished my master's in cognitive neuroscience. And like Hrir was saying, I loved what I did, but I knew that academia wasn't for me. I knew that specific field wasn't for me, but I wanted to stay in healthcare. So I'd say you'd laugh again, but I would say that I kind of fell into medcoms, but I looked for jobs in healthcare. And I remember seeing the job description for a medical writer, and I thought this sounds great for me because you still deal with data and scientific advancements. And also it seemed to me that it would have more of an immediate impact that I can feel and that I can see compared to sometimes academia where, it might take longer if you're doing research to see an actual impact, a real world impact. So I thought this seems great. I love writing, which I think that the term medical writer is a bit misleading because it's not just
Right.
writing. You're doing
Right.
content in general. Some medical writers will actually not do a lot of, a lot of writing. They'll do content, like other content, like slides and other materials. But I thought if I was creating content on the healthcare field and kind of scientific advancements in data, then I would be very happy with that. So I just applied and didn't know much about the actual day-to-day role and just started, and here I am over a year later.
Okay, and you seem happy enough, so that seems like it's been a good move. So let's just, if I can, I'm just want to tease out a little bit more there. Okay, so you didn't want to be in academia, and frankly, a lot of people say that. I mean, inevitably, and people are looking around. And you said a little bit about what's attracted you to the medical writing and so on. Just out of interest, a year into it, can you remember those first few days when you came in? What I'm interested in is your perception from the outside and what you actually discover when you come in. Have you got any memories of what might have surprised you, or what met your expectations and what didn't? You see what I mean?
I mean, I think I just, like I said, I walked in, didn't really know what I was walking into. But I think I was pleasantly surprised by how many different projects there are. And I think I'm lucky enough to be on a very big account for a big pharma client where we do a lot of different types of communication for them. So you'll have publications, which not all accounts have. And I think it's very specific accounts that have that. And you'll have materials, like I said, medical materials to communicate to the public or maybe doctors, healthcare professionals. And we also do work on events. For example, I didn't even know when I joined that we get to go on site to sometimes
Right.
to events. So that was a nice surprise. So I think I was just really
Okay.
surprised by the breadth of actually everything that MedComms entails, and that you can actually be doing a different thing constantly, which I was very
Right.
happy with because I have a very low boredom threshold.
Right. Okay. Okay. So lots of variety. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of variety. What about coming into the commercial type business? Was there stuff that surprised you about that? I mean, you were suddenly into an environment where I'm assuming that, you have to record your hours and everyone's fussing
Yeah.
about whether you're meeting your budgets, and I'm just intrigued how that feels when you sort of walk into it.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely interesting. I never worked, obviously, you're working with clients, and like you said, you're working with billable time and budgets and this and that. And I think I was laughing before when Hrir said that she doesn't think she'd have the discipline to be a writer. I don't think I'd have the discipline to be in client services because actually um a lot of those things are dealt with by client services. As a
Right.
writer, like Hrir said, there is a bit of a hybrid role sometimes in that I'll project manage sometimes to an extent the projects that I'm working on. And obviously we're all aware of some of the more the commercial and side of things, but I do think that a big part of that is dealt with by client services, which I'm happy with.
Okay, well, that's a nice segue back to Hrir. Come on then, Hrir. Talk a little bit about that side of it, the business management side of this. And I guess you've grown into that, and in your role now, you're overseeing what, a large account or series of accounts. You're looking at your attention, I'm guessing, is more on the business management. than the actual day-to-day managing of a client relationship, as it were. But just explain a little bit how those roles evolve. And as I say, are you the one that's running around with timesheets, chasing people, and just give us a bit of a sense of it?
Yeah, sadly, I am. I'm now chasing people for timesheets, shows my age.
Right.
I guess it does. I think the business side of things comes to me a bit more naturally. I am somebody that likes to be quite dynamic. I don't like my day to look the same. I work best under pressure. So I know that's quite unique. Not a lot of people are like that. But I would say the good thing about account management is that you can definitely learn it. The business side, certainly, like it's really easy. You have a set scope. You have to monitor what we're doing, match it to the scope. And then if it goes above, we need to go back to the clients and ask for an additional fund to cover the additional scope. I really enjoy like the forecasting side of things, the business side of things, the business development, recruitment, looking after the team. These are things that I really enjoy, building a team from scratch, from the ground up. This is when I took the job here at Chameleon. That was I was given a brand new account with not many people on it, and it was the most fun thing ever to build something from the ground up, and it was a launch product. So it was double whammy, but I loved it. It was so much fun to make it my own, put in systems that I wanted to put in, processes that I wanted to put in. I would say for anybody that's hearing about the commercial side and the billable side, it's not as daunting as you think it is. It's actually like quite common sense and quite systematic, like quite linear. If you follow a process, it will get you there. There's lots of training, there's lots of support. Even at my level, I get a lot of support from the wider team and the finance colleagues that we have. Our executive team really support me. So you're never alone. And I think that's the unique thing about Chameleon to me, is that it is people orientated. They really do put people first. I've been here coming up to 3 years, and I think that's the unique thing about being here and what makes it a great place to work. And I think that when you find that makes all these challenges a lot easier.
Yeah, I always say to people, it's you need, agencies are different. The truth is, one person is brilliant in one place, but not necessarily brilliant in another, and so on. And particularly when we're talking to the sort of the people who are looking to come into the business, it's not as simple as going, I want to be a medical writer, though I'll go anywhere, or I'm going to be an accountant, I'll go. What you've got to try and understand is the way the organization works. And it's the way it works, because you're all a bit different. It's the people. There's lots of differences. So the trick is to find your niche, and then blossom within that niche, as it were, sort of thing. Hrir, just for a moment, just talk a bit about the account management side in terms of what you're looking for from people who want to come in, say as an account exec or something. I mean, you've got a lot of experience of building that team. Can you spot a good account exec at 100 paces? I mean, and what's that profile of the person that you're looking for? What makes them attractive to you?
I think it's somebody that can think a bit more laterally, and can show me examples of that. I know it's really hard when you come in as a graduate with no experience, but there are always examples. Somebody that's good with a tracker is always a plus. If you and at that level specifically, it's not necessarily something you need long term, but you need to be willing to be detail orientated. And I think one of the biggest things that I tell everybody at an interview, no matter what role they're applying for, because everybody that applies for a medical communication role tends to be an A-star student that comes in, that's had the best of best grades and had ordinarily minimal comments on the work they submit to their teachers or their professors. When they're going to come here, that whatever they do is going to go through like multiple rounds of errands, and it's going to be butchered. So I say to them, you've got to have a bit of a thick skin and not take it personally. It's just the way it is, that it goes through like our QC process here, which I think maybe Fay can speak to, like it is a bit rigorous. And then it goes to clients who can also tear it apart. So you can't be too wedded to the product that you're delivering, whether you're on the account side or you're on the writing side. You have to have a bit of a thick skin and understand that actually we're trying to deliver something that's commercially viable at the end for our clients. And it's normal for things to be stress tested per se. And there will be things, nobody does anything perfect no matter what level they're at. If I do something, it will get, torn apart, and I will get feedback. If somebody more senior than me does it, they will get the same. And feedback is good. Feedback is fuel, as they say.
Exactly.
But I
Just to cover this off,
is the resilience for me, because it is something that you will have to get to terms with, and a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Fay, I'm going to bring you in a second on specifically on that sort of a point, but just to cover this one off here. On the account, the client services side, a wide variety of backgrounds. I mean, it tends to be anyway. How's it work in Chameleon? So not necessarily life science background. So, and what you're looking for are those project management skills and so on, which could be gained in different ways. Is that a fair point, or?
No, I'd say we do tend to lean towards life sciences degrees.
Still life sciences, okay.
Because like I said, we do expect our team, even on the account management, project management side, to understand the science, to be able to articulate it. And the more senior you get, we expect you to actually be involved in the strategy and developing like communication narratives. So it is something that we expect you to be able to, at the very least, be able to understand and articulate. And at a more senior level, we do expect you to be able to contribute.
Okay, no, that's a fair point. And maybe that's what I mean. Again, I said earlier on the difference between agencies. I mean, there are agencies who would be less worried about life science background in client services, but your point's well made. So, but Fay, on the writing side, where pretty much everyone comes in with that life sciences background, let's just cut straight to this the thick-skinned sort of side of things, resilient side of things. It's worth people being aware of that. I mean, particularly if people come out of academia, there's some support, there's some whatever, but you haven't got a team of people just crawling all over everything you do and everything you write. And just again, talk a little bit to that. I mean, how did that feel to you? The first time you wrote something and it came back,
I think
with comment.
I think it's exactly what Hrir was saying, that you need to kind of have a mindset shift, because like you were saying, Peter, when you're coming out of academia, when you're coming out of doing your masters, a lot of the time, you work on something and you also get to work on something for a lot longer. Like I was doing my dissertation for months, submit it, and then that's it. And then I came into a field where it's a lot more fast paced than academia. You have a lot of projects that are happening at the same time, and you don't have as long as before to work on them, and then you also get feedback. I personally really like that, because I felt like you actually get to work on something continuously and improve it. I think, like Hrir was saying, you do need a bit of a thick skin to not take things personally. You can kind of see it as a challenge to just keep going with something and make it your own and improve it. I think I was lucky enough in that Chameleon is really supportive coming in. Anyone, like I said, I didn't know much about MedComms, and they have a very good onboarding program with a lot of resources and support. No one is expecting that you're going to come in and as an associate medical writer, you're going to be able to write or create content that is perfect from the first draft, and then that you just send to the client and you're done. I think it's a learning process, but there is a lot of training and a lot of support, and eventually you get to take ownership of your projects and grow as a writer, and you can really see that. And like Hrir was saying, you're supported in a lot of the in all of the process. And it's also nice that, like I said, you do have some of the exposure to the client side. Like Hrir was saying, people in client services need to be able to understand the science. And I think similarly, the medical writers need to be able to understand the more businessy and the commercial side of things, and be able to, like Hrir said, if something is out of scope and needs to be flagged to the client, it should be almost it should be the writer at first, because they're working on it, that is able to say, I think this will go out of scope, and then it gets escalated. So it's things like getting to terms with that, as well as the actual medical writing part. But I think I like the fast pace. I think I'm a bit like Hrir in that sense. But I think if someone doesn't enjoy doing a lot of different things at once and liked the slower pace of academia, it might be a bit of a harder transition.
Yeah. The most common, I've done lots of things over the years where I've collected quotes from people, you know, why I like working in medcoms and all the rest of it. And the most common comment is no 2 days are the same. And it gets a little bit cliche, but it's actually just very true, isn't it? I mean, the variety is what keeps us all going, sort of thing. So look, we've gone slightly over time, but when I have the clock, sorry, I could happily just chat on for ages, but I'm trying to keep these to the time that I'm trying to keep them to. So look, both of you, thank you so much for jumping online. I think the enthusiasm, I mean, I love these conversations because the enthusiasm comes across that what we're doing is fun and interesting, and a great career opportunity for the sorts of people who like this sort of work. So hopefully people listening to this will grasp that, and they'll hear what you're saying, and they'll learn from you about the sorts of work we do, and they've got some insights into it and so on. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. But I'm going to draw the line there. I know that I can say from both your points of view, you're very happy for people to contact you. LinkedIn is the easy way. If anyone wants to contact me, then I'm very, very happy to hear from anybody. And if you come to medcommsnetworking.com and the other sites, you'll find lots and lots of information. So just for today, I'm going to say thank you very much. Give us a bit of a wave and say goodbye. Bye-bye.